สวัสดีค่ะ In this episode, we're going to be talking about communication in digital era. In this new world of new normal, next normal, people are wondering what are important soft skills that help people succeed in the new world. There are many studies that done by World Forum, Forbes, McKinsey. They are trying to find out that what are the essential skills. For example, they found out that negotiation, critical thinking, they found out that emotional intelligence, cultural intelligence are very important. But one thing that they all have in common is communication and how you can collaborate with others. There are many different types of communication, starting with intrapersonal communication, or when you do self-talk, you think you're talking to yourself. Interpersonal communication, group communication, team communication, organizational communication, public communication, or even mass communication. Today though, we're going to be talking and focusing on interpersonal communication, meaning the interaction between at least two people that are, we are coming to exchange messages verbally or non-verbally. And interpersonal communication is very important for you within organization and outside organization to definitely help you succeed. Many of you might be familiar with Shannon and Weaver 1949. This model is very classic model. The model starts with sender. Sender is a person that have a message to convey to the receiver. What are the messages? Messages can be idea, thoughts, feelings. For example, the feeling of love. Well, a lot of people will like, okay, when you love someone, how do you feel? In America, we'll say that when you love someone, I feel like I have butterflies in the stomach, like, the first love, excitement and all that. But you cannot send a message directly to the person. You cannot be like, I love you, this is how I feel. You cannot send it directly. What you can do is you can encode the message. Encode is to change from the message idea into certain symbols. For example, you might be like, I love you. Or you can say the word love verbally. Okay, so when you encode the message, different encoding, the same feeling, the butterflies in the stomach, but the way you encode it make all the differences. For example, at work, when someone submit a report and you see that it's really bad, a lot of mistakes, and you yell at them, what? This is suck. How can you do this kind of work? It's horrible. Okay, when you say something like that, of course, this is one encode as a symbol, verbal and non-verbal. But if you change the way you encode the message, for example, okay, there's one thing that is called sandwich approach, a way to encode the message. When you want to communicate something very strong, and actually strong in terms of challenging or negative messages, you can do something like this: positive, negative, and positive. For example, you might want to say something positive to begin with. For example, thank you very much. I asked for you to do it within an hour. You finish very early, 15 minutes. Thank you. And then when you look at it and it's bad, you just start saying that. You can, give a negative comment with a very specific details, and that will reduce the severity of the message. For example, instead of saying horrible job, you might say that, oh, I see that on this page alone, there are 3 mistakes. Okay, so instead of horrible work, you say the specific thing. And then at the end with positive notes. For example, but anyway, thank you so much that you rushed for me. And I know that if you really check your work before submitting your report, your work will be very good. So thanks. The next component is communication channel. Communication channel are the way through which we send our messages. For example, you can send messages via face-to-face communication. You can do it in a meeting. You can do it many different ways. Or you can send the message through Line. And in digital era, of course, you are meeting via Zoom, MS Teams, and you have YouTube. You have a lot of channels. And different channels have different strengths and weaknesses. The best communication channel that can create relationship, create trust is, of course, face-to-face. So try your best to meet in person. But anyway, the important information in the organization should be conveyed through at least 7 channels and 7 times. And you have to pick the best channel for your own messages, not just like randomly any 7 channels, any 7 messages. After the receiver decode the messages, we have this thing called feedback. Feedback is when the receiver sends the message back to the sender. But one thing that we have is that through the communication models, there are something we call noises. Noises is anything that obstruct the receiving the message to 100%. There are three major types of noises in communication. First, physical noises is something about environment. For example, if you are in the place where it's noisy or it's very packed, sitting so close to each other, that is called physical noise. The second type of noise is physiological noise, that is your own body. Okay, the first one is about the environment, the second one is about your own body. For example, if you have hearing disorder or you're sick and you cannot receive the messages totally because of your own body. The third type of noise is called psychological noises. For example, if you're in the room with someone you don't like and whatever the other person say bothers you, okay, that is called psychological noise. A very successful communicator should understand that there are noises and try to eliminate any kind of noise that exists in the conversation. For example, if you find out that there are, noise or loud noise, air conditioned noise in the office or the room, you might want to change the room, okay? Or if you know that someone in the crowd doesn't like you, okay, and you want to persuade them to do something, maybe you can change to someone that they like, okay? Kind of get rid of all the noises as much as you can. All the components that I talk about come from this classic model, Shannon and Weaver, 1949. And now we have a new model, which is called transactional model. And this model, very similar to the previous model, but there are one change and two additional components. The first change is called, communicator. So as a communicator, what you have to do is you have to send the message and you have to see the reaction of the receiver and trying to adjust your message at the same time. Okay, so that is called communicator. Okay, that's one change. Two additional components are, first of all, field of experience and context. Field of experience talk about people have different background, education, they are working in different areas, they have different experience that they, grow up. And when you come and talk and have conversation, if you have very little overlap of the field of experience, the communication will be kind of challenging. You have to explain more. But if you are coming from a very similar field of experience, for example, you are from marketing area, you don't have to explain a lot about certain jargons and all these different technical terms. So if you know that people come from different field experience, explain more. And if they are coming from a similar field experience, you don't have to explain as much. Now, the last component in this new model is called context. There are 4 types of context, which is like context is something around the communication. Not the communication itself, but it had a lot of effect on the communication. First is called physical context, where you are having conversation or communicating affect the communication itself. The physical context talk about the place or the environment that you're communicating. For example, these days, informality is a big trend. So in the old days, when you are interviewing, people are interviewing in this very formal meeting rooms. And it made people feel like they have to not have to say something formal, okay, and might not giving you all the truth. But now informality, they move on to talk in the coffee shop. And when you are in an informal setting, you are more relaxed, you're being more yourself, and you can see things. For example, when you go get a coffee, did you ask someone else, do you want anything? You get the tissue paper for them or anything like that. So the context affects the communication. And these days, when you want to have innovation, brainstorming about new ideas, instead of sitting in that, very formal meeting rooms, they kind of take you out and maybe talk in a karaoke or maybe a place that have like colorful settings and things like that. That really affects your communication. Number 2, social context. The social context talking about the relationship of people within that communication. For example, if there's a boss right there, you might not want to say anything innovation. You worry because you're gonna say something wrong. You worry people are gonna judge you, the boss gonna judge you. But if you just take out the boss from that meeting, the relationship of a friendship or something like that affect the way you talk. The third type of context is called chronological context. It's about the time of the day, the month, or the year. When we do something, we have to really take into consideration what is a good time. If you want a fresh idea, people are happy, innovative, you might want to do it in the morning, okay? In organizations, sometimes when they're firing people, they usually do it on Friday afternoon because, when they take their stuff out, they have time, and then 2 days, the rumors kind of dies down. The fourth type of context is called cultural context. I love this one the most, and I sometimes make mistakes because of this culture. Culture can mean national culture like Thailand, Korea, American, okay? And it can be organizational culture, okay? Let's talk about national culture in Thailand. Ajahn Suntri Komin, she used to be a professor at NIDA. She retired long time ago. She collect data from people all over Thailand, and she come up with 9 main core values of Thais. Number 1 core value in Thailand is face. It's not that you have to go do Botox or anything, but face is the projected self-image. You want people to look at you in a great way, in a good way. So if people make you look bad, then you lose face. You can check out the 9 Thai core values in this slide. You can read it yourself. What I really want to point out, other than the first one, ego and face orientation, I like number 5. Religious physical orientation. This talk about the Thai supernatural, superstitious belief, and it really affects the way we work. For example, there are a lot of organizations, we do something we call in Thai Hasaw, okay, 5S, it's about cleaning and organizing, okay, your table like systematically, okay, and people are like, what? You want me to arrange my table in a certain way and it will come back to be dirty again. Forget it. But if you tell them, you know what? If you move your table like this, and if you put your pencil right here, you do something like this, it's good for the feng shui. Really? Let's do it. Something like that. So if you really understand these Thai core values, it will help you communicate with Thai so much better. A lot of expats that come to Thailand, sometimes they tell Thai people like, you know what, if you do this, you'll be very successful. You really climb up, progress in your career. But if you make them lose face in certain way, they might not participate. They might not coordinate with you because that is the number 1 value. Or if you want to tell them some reasoning for doing something, it might not be as powerful as the superstitious belief. So basically, I'm not saying that everybody is like this because this is the overall Thai core values. Other than the national core values, there are organizational values, which is by design and by default. By default is that it's the natural occurrence of the core values. For example, in Thailand, we often say that if we are an organization that is very public organization, government organization, we are kind of slow, chilling, very face oriented, okay? That is like default. But by design is a lot of organization come up with a set of core values that we believe that will help organization accomplish their vision. For example, for NIDA, we are government, but we have this design core values that come from different abbreviation of words. We have the word wisdom, okay? You can see that this is what wisdom come from. One of the things that we want is innovation. So we try to create value of innovation as well. In this episode, we're talking about 2 things. First, why is communication important? Because it's one of the very important essential skills for the future that help all of you to be successful. 2, what is communication? We're talking about the classic model, the component of communication, and the new model, which is transactional model, which there are 1 change, communicator, and 2 additional components, which is field of experience and context. With the understanding of these components, it will definitely help you plan the communication even better.